All right, everybody, so today I am not talking about a specific weed, but I will talk about how I go about managing weeds a lot better after I have the weeds under control here in my space in zone 8A. So with the exception of two different areas, I have the weed pressure in my gardens here under control. So I'm going to share with you how I go about continuously manage weeds. So as you know, all gardens will always have weeds, especially after a good rain. For some reason, they just love the rain. After a good rain, 1 or 2 days or even the next day, you will see weeds start popping up. And that's just part of gardening. You have to just make sure what is your threshold so that you're not going to be stressed about weeds, especially if you have a young garden or you have gardens that are not packed with plants like I do here. Most of my gardens do not have a lot of plants in there, so weeds is going to be a constant chore for me. So what I do is I set myself a certain threshold. So except for this area right here, I have 2 thresholds. All right, sorry about the AC unit if you're not able to hear me as well, or the sound is bothering you. So in this general area, I give myself 2 thresholds of tolerance. So the first threshold is that I do not want to see some of the weeds that I know grow very rapidly, or their growth habit is one that is hard to control. Those are the sheep sorrel, which thank you so much to the viewer who told me what the last video weed was. I do not want to see any of the oxalis, the clovers, or the wild violet, and oh, I forgot, the spotted spurge. So I do not want to see those weeds here at all. So if for any reason I am behind, then the next threshold is this wooden boundary here. So I do not want to see any of those weeds that I just mentioned crossing over to this playground area. If I see it like around here, of course I'm going to try to pull them out right away. And so I don't want them to be here because I know it's going to be hard to get rid of them once you get so many growing over here. So if at all possible, that's my first threshold, and this is my final one. I don't want to see any of those weeds crossing over to the playground area. And in order to do that, I'll have to set a schedule for myself. So I am making myself walk all the gardens at least every other day, because right now I tend to visit certain gardens more than others, and some of them I don't come at all until, like, I don't know, sometimes later, which at that time it's kind of too late. And then I come back here and I see lots of weeds. So anyway, I'm gonna make myself have a schedule where I walk all the gardens every other day and just take a look around. Right now I have this area under control. The 2 areas that I mentioned that I still have to pull weeds would be around this area right here. You see it along the where the plants are right here. I still have weeds to pull right around there, and then part of the hillside garden or the inflation garden, that area, I still have to, my goal is to pull out all of that, all of those weeds. Right now I have grass. Before it was the clover, so now I have a mixture of clovers and grass. So I will try to make that become smaller and smaller over time. With the exception of these two areas, I pretty much, again, if I didn't mention, I pretty much have the all the garden beds under control. So what about the other garden areas in the woodland here? So my threshold is the pathways. I do not want to see those weeds that I just mentioned in this gravel pathway right here, and just the mulch pathway over there. So if I miss or I'm behind, I see any weeds in the pathway, I will pull them out right away, because I don't want them to spread over to here, and the weeds here, I don't want them to spread over to the other side. So that is my threshold for this general area. But with the other garden beds, whether it's in the front or in the back, my threshold is the garden beds. Anytime I see weeds growing in the garden beds, any of the garden beds, I will pull them out. So that means I will have to set a schedule for myself. So I plan to spend 30 minutes to an hour every other day at least every other day, to pull out any weeds that I see. Now, I say 30 minutes to an hour, and that's kind of long for some of you, but because I have at least 30 different beds to take care of, I wouldn't need that much time. And also because, like I mentioned, I don't have a densely packed, I should say I don't have densely packed gardens. I always want to say garden as in one garden. So I don't know, I have different gardens, so all the different gardens, at least 30 of them. So because of that, I'm giving myself 30 minutes to an hour for now. Maybe eventually when the plants are more mature, I don't have to spend as much time. Those of you who are lucky enough to have mature gardens with a lot of plants, you are so lucky, because I know you probably don't have the same weed pressure like we do, the ones like me, the ones who don't have mature gardens, we don't have a lot of plants, or we're just new gardeners. So anyway, I hope that will be helpful to all of you who are starting out, and those of you who don't have a lot of plants in your gardens right now. All right, let's walk to the front. Maybe you will hear less of the AC unit. I am so sorry. It seems like every time I film something, there's always some kind of background sound, but thank goodness the audio is so much better now, that even though there's some background sound, you could still hear me better than before. So yeah, if you are a new gardener starting out, or if you don't have a lot of plants in your gardens like I do, and you have a lot of weed pressure, that's what I would recommend, is first to get your weeds under control. Then after that, then you can just maintain it by following a certain schedule, and then also have a certain weed threshold where you're not going to go, you're not going to worry about weeds constantly, which, it has happened to me. So set a threshold for yourselves, and just know that you're still going to have weeds, but at least for the time being, you're not going to worry about the weeds. Just know that you will only take care of the weeds when it is beyond the threshold that you set for yourself. And if at all possible, don't do what I have done, is to, create all these different gardens in a short period of time. I mean, it's good and it's bad as well. If you happen to live in the same zone as me, 8A, and you live in the south where you get lots of weed pressures, it means that you have a lot of you have good environment for your plants to grow in. So it's not a bad thing, but it also comes with weed pressure. So if you do have that same growing environment as me, if at all possible, I would recommend that you start off very small. Start off your garden very small. It could be, you know, just having container gardens instead of having, you know, something in the ground. And if you decide to expand to, you know, to having an actual garden bed, and I would just start off with one, see if you can manage it. And then once you can manage that, then you could add on. But if at all possible, don't do what I have done. I just like dreamt too big, and I had a goal for myself was to have the bone of the garden done, you know, within a certain time frame. And I'm so happy that I have done that, but it also comes with consequences. And, you know, that means that I have to maintain it. I don't mind, you know, pruning, things like that. I love that, but I just don't like the weed pressure. If anything, I would start off slower and see, you know, whether I want to continue adding more garden beds. So that would be my my tips to you. So with that, I hope you found this video enjoyable and helpful. And until my next video, take care and bye for now.
It's me, the Mario. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please make sure to like and subscribe and ring the notification bell so that way you don't miss out on any more content.